Hey y'all, I'm Elisa and I am the Scrappy Wife behind scrappywife.com, and today I have an art journal process video for you. I am super excited because where I live in the Northern Virginia area, it is finally feeling like fall. I have a beautiful view outside my craft room window and I can see leaves turning, and I'm super pumped for colder weather and football and chili and all things fall. So I am inspired to do a fall entry in my art journal here. And for this entry, I'm going to start with some decoupaging and doing some collage with this napkin. I have some stencils pulled out, stamps, a couple different colors of paint that I am hoping to utilize. And like I said, it's going to be all fall, talking about my fall favorite things. And I hope it inspires you to kind of document the season in your art journal. I will put you on fast forward. Let's see what happens. I will be totally honest with you. I almost didn't use any of this footage. I'm not 100% pleased with the way that this page turns out. It just kind of takes some different turns, but I wanted to include it because I think it's important to just remember, as artists, as creators, as people that just love trying to make beautiful things and just experimenting. It's okay if something doesn't turn out the way you think it's going to. It doesn't mean it's any less valuable. It's just a different experience. So I'm starting with these napkins. I kind of cut and did some rough edges, and I'm removing the back. Whenever you're going to use a napkin, definitely take off that second ply on the back. It's usually all white. And I'm gonna layer some pumpkins. And what I am doing here is trying to create a background for my page, knowing that I want to stencil over the top of it. And one of the ways I feel like I went a little awry is that my background ends up being really heavy, and I have trouble later on kind of balancing it because I wanted to add some more elements, but with such a bold background. Orange is a bold color. With such a bold background, it was a little bit hard to balance. I'm going to use Liquitex matte gel medium, which is what I prefer to use when I'm decoupaging. I put a thin layer down, then put the napkin on top, and then put a thin layer of the Liquitex matte gel medium over the top of that. And you'll see me, I just do that with all of the elements that I want on my page, and then I put it aside and let it dry really well before I continue on. Now that my background is dry, I'm going to come back with some paint, and I start with a copper tone from Davenport that is gorgeous, but man, again, bold. Apparently I was just in a bold mood. I love fall. I just put out my fall decorations. I don't know if anyone else does that or if that's just a thing in the South, or I change up the decorations for the fall. I get that pumpkin candle out. I'm all about all the fall things. I love pumpkin spice lattes. Even as cliche as it is, I think they're delicious and I love it all. So I wanted to use all of the fall colors. So I start with this copper tone, and then for some reason I think I should probably add black to that to add some contrast. And then that gets pretty muddy, and I know I'm not going to be pleased with it, but I finish out where I thought I was going to add the black, knowing that I can always cover it up. That is the beauty of art journaling, is you don't have to stop until you are pleased with a page. So I could have just left it here and been annoyed, but instead I just dried it and continued on. Now the next step is going to be using this pixie spray and this large heart stencil. If you have not heard of pixie spray yet, then please check out the link in my info beneath this video and pick some up. You will not regret it. It is fantastic for working with stencils and keeping them in place, and I will never use a stencil, I feel like, without pixie spray beneath. I'm using some Handmade modern paint from Target in this deep olive kind of hunter green color, and I'm going to just paint in the open spaces of this stencil. Now, I knew in advance that the stencil doesn't quite give the impression that I had wanted it to, because you'll see I fill in the paint. It does give me some crisp lines, but you actually can't really see the heart pattern when you lift it up. It's something about how the stencil works. I just can't actually see the hearts emerging from the page with the stencil. Now this is one I think I picked up at Hobby Lobby on clearance, and it's great to pick up stencils on clearance because sometimes they get really expensive, but it just doesn't totally work. But I wanted the impression of the hearts, so I knew in advance that I would have to add something to it. I liked the dark green to kind of tone down a lot of the orange that was happening on this page, and I thought, well, I'm going with pumpkins, so it's a nice balance anyway. It kind of works with what is already there. And so I put this stencil on, fill in the paint, and when I pick it up, I decide I need to add another layer, and you'll see that in just a moment. After I dry, you can kind of see what I mean. The hearts just don't really pop off the page. So I'm going to come back with a paint pen. And I think a paint pen is maybe my most underutilized tool in my craft room, especially with art journaling. Now that I used it on this page, I kind of wish I had them in all the colors. And what I'm going to do is come back around these hearts and just fill in the lines of the hearts. And that's really going to allow them to pop off the page, and I'm going to see the heart pattern that I was wanting in the first place. The paint pen that I'm using is from Craft Smart, and I believe I picked it up at Michael's. It has a pretty bold tip on it. It's kind of a calligraphy tip, and so it is making bold lines, but that's okay because it's cleaning up any of the leakage that I had underneath the stencil with the green paint. It's really helping cover some of those lines. Now that I have my hearts on the right side of the page, I will be repeating the same process on the left side, again starting with the pixie spray. For the pixie spray, what you do is you spray the back of the stencil and then you leave it there for about a minute and then stick it down. It does not leave residue on your stencils or on your paper. I have used it a bunch and I'm loving it. One can has lasted me so far about 4 months, and it doesn't feel very empty, so I think it will continue. Same process over here with the green paint, filling in all of those openings on the stencil, and then I will come back with the same black paint pen and fill that in. While I am filling in these hearts with my black paint pen, I would love for you to comment below and tell me what your favorite part of the fall is. For me, I'm gonna have to go with chili. First of all, I'm just a foodie, so I love all food, and I'm considered like the chili expert in our family. I love making chili in the slow cooker and having it cook all day, and of course it's better the next day. It's one of my favorites, and I think a close second would be long sleeve t-shirts. I love long sleeve t-shirts. I love when it's cool enough to wear your long sleeve t-shirt and be comfortable. It is one of my favorite parts of this time of year. And the fall for me just feels, I don't know, there's like a magic to it. I love the fall. So let me know below. I'd be interested to hear if you love the fall just as much as me, or maybe you're a summer person at heart. And what do you like about the fall? What's your favorite part? What's your favorite little detail about fall that gets you excited on those crisp fall mornings? Now, off camera, I had created some leaf elements, and I used some stamps that I picked up at Paper Source probably 2 years ago now, some embossing ink and some champagne colored embossing powder. It's like this very cool metal color, and I thought I wanted to use them on the spread. So you can see me kind of laying them out, and it just ended up, it didn't work for me. The background, like I said, is so busy and so heavy. I thought the leaves would be great for kind of toning it down, but I just wasn't pleased with it. I didn't like what the layout looked like, and I was kind of struggling at this point. So I end up scrapping the idea. You'll see me, I try to move things around and make it work, but I scrapped the idea. I will use these leaves on another project. Gratitude Documented is coming up, so I'm sure I'll be able to use them then. I end up clearing them off, and I decide one way I want to tone down my background is with some paint. And I grabbed some copper paint. This is from a set that I got at Target last spring, and it's very metallic, and I'm filling in mostly those hearts that have that orange and black mixed together that kind of ended up being really muddy. I'm filling it in with this gold copper color, and it's a little bit more yellow than the orange that's already there, so it does provide some contrast. And I like that it is solid colored because it kind of is calming down what all the busyness that's going on in the background. So I'm randomly picking hearts. Again, I am picking the ones that have that muddy look in them so I can cover it up. And this paint is doing a really good job. It is an acrylic paint, and it is covering up what is underneath, which is working out well for me and for this layout. Now I'm working on the hearts. After each one, I kind of look back and see, am I done? How's that look? And I think I'm done after this one heart, but as I'm looking at the page, I see that mess of black and orangish copper up there, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I didn't cover that up. So one last heart, and then I will let the page dry and figure out what I'm going to do next. I almost considered leaving the page just as it was, but I do want to add a quote because for me, quotes are really important on art journal pages. I think they kind of summarize them, and I really like it. And you'll see I started with the word Octobers, and I am adding my quote backwards, which is something I do frequently. And the quote I'm going with is from Anne of Green Gables when she says, "I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers." And I'm adding it with a white paint pen using a mixture of fonts as I add it. And then I'll go back and cover it again to really pop up that white. It does end up still being a little bit muddy, but that's okay. I'm not really worried about it. It pops up enough for me to see it in person. So I fill it in once. I'm going to go back over it with that same white paint pen, and then in order to let the letters stand out even more, I'll come back and add a few highlights with the black paint pen so that they pop off the busy hearts that are behind them. Like I said, this page didn't really come out the way that I had planned, but I'm still pleased with it, and I'm pleased with the time that I gave myself to be creative. I think it's just so important to give yourself permission to experiment and to try new things with your creativity, and to be okay if it doesn't turn out well. Do it anyway. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as that bell notification button so you'll be the first to know when I release a new video. I hope you have a chance to get creative today and to try something new. Have a fantastic day, and as always, keep it creative.